Hi everyone and welcome back to Spring of Series 8 in Forza Horizon 5. This time we'll be doing Heatwave Seasonal Championship, which puts us in a hot hatch car made in Germany in B class in street racing. So that doesn't really leave us a whole lot of choices for the cars. There's a total of 3 to choose from. One is a Golf that we used extensively before in festival playlists, so I didn't feel like using it again. Another is Audi S1, which is a nice funny car, but it's more fitting for rally really, at least with the good setups that I could find, and not so much for the road. It's still usable to win against AI of course, but the preference lies with this Volkswagen Scirocco, which is the third choice that we have. And obviously another reason for this preference is the name of the car. Scirocco is the name for Mediterranean wind, which comes from Sahara and is really hot. So it kind of fits the heatwave theme. The word itself, at least in the transcription that is used by Volkswagen, is Italian, but the original name comes from Arabic, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, all those winds over Mediterranean, each one of them has some romantic, interesting name, and plenty of them. So Levant, for example, the one used for Maserati name, is also one of the winds in Mediterranean. So you meet those words every now and then in many occasions. Now this Scirocco, I quite like how the car looks and drives, and all of it for Forza and as well in real life, but unfortunately they don't make them anymore. I believe the last one was made in 2017, and it's the second time Volkswagen puts a pause on Scirocco production. So original ones were made in 80s or maybe even late 70s, and then they stopped making them in 90s. There was a long pause, and then they reintroduced the model in 2008, I believe, and 9 years later, following one facelift, they killed it again for, well, not killed it necessarily. I think they're gonna reuse it again at some point in future, but we don't know if and when, and I'm not sure why. They are really funny cars. Everyone I know who owns one is very happy with it, so maybe the reason is the same why Scirocco was never introduced in North America, to not cannibalize the sales of Volkswagen Golf, which is obviously the flagship car in this class, in hatchback or hot hatch area for Volkswagen. So maybe Scirocco was stealing own sales rather than the competition. I don't know. Maybe we'll sometime hear about it from Volkswagen themselves. But for now, we just finished the first race, and we'll move on to the next one in the heatwave. So the second one takes us to Costa Rocosa, another street racing, still without AI. I never, if before I had AI traffic or NPC traffic every now and then, but mostly not. Now I can't remember last time I actually got any NPC traffic in the single player or seasonal street racing, but yeah, it doesn't matter. The tune I'm using today is another tune by K1Z Bard, and it's a front wheel drive which behaves really nicely and fits the original Scirocco configuration. That's a front wheel drive car, and obviously with front wheel drive you need to adjust to the way the car behaves. What you really want to do is brake a little bit earlier before the corners and make sure the front of your car looks at the exit of the corner as much as possible, and then you accelerate out of the corner as much as you can. The reason for it is, as opposed to rear wheel drive, where giving more throttle to the car in the corner will make it turn in harder and potentially spin if you do it too hard. With front wheel drives, the same wheels that are turning are also providing the acceleration. That's where the power goes from your engine to the ground. So when you make it do two things at once, both turn and try to accelerate, you actually are not achieving either of those goals efficiently. If you try to accelerate on front wheel drive out of the corner, it pulls the car but pretty much stops turning. If there's a lot of power in the car, it literally starts going straight instead of turning. So that's not what you want to do. Therefore, just brake a little bit earlier, position your car correctly, and then you can accelerate out of the corner. There still will be quite a bit of understeer when turning on the power, but if you position your car right, you achieve really nice speeds. The upside of that is obviously you can accelerate much harder once your car is positioned, because you are literally pulling the car rather than pushing it. So the risk of spinning out is much less, and you can really effectively gain speed earlier on. Right, we are reaching the end of the second race, I believe. The AIs are nowhere to be found, which is to be expected. So as you can see, the tune is not just pleasant to drive, it's also providing you the performance you need. And yeah, the previous tune I used in the previous championship was a little bit handful in terms of driving. This one is very easy to control, so no need to be cautious. And we go for the third race now. And the third race takes us to Bosque del Sur, or South Forest. And yeah, it's the last race of the Heatwave Seasonal Championship, and I don't know how it is where you are. Where I am, it is really a heatwave. It's been really hot for about a week now, well over 30 degrees, and I've heard from many people from many locations that it's about the same where they are. So yeah, really good choice of the seasonal championship name on Playground Games side. I don't know if that's coincidental or they were also dying from the heat and decided to, hey, why not call it like that. As you can see on the third race, it's even easier to beat AI. We are just barely crossed 15% mark and we are already all ahead. The part of the reason for it is that section where you go on roundabout with a highway in the very beginning. There's a lot of breakable objects there, the whole railing on the side of the roundabout, and AI seems to crash into a lot of it. And then there's also change of the corner direction, which makes AI go like, what do I do, where do I go? They really lose a lot of time there, so it's super easy to overtake them there. The only thing you need to worry about is to not be tied up in their mess yourself, because they do seem to crash into the player and each other and all the breakables around quite a bit. So make sure to avoid serious collisions there, and that will set you up for easy success on the rest of Bosque del Sur. That's really all there is to it, because we are far ahead now. We're halfway through the race. Nothing can really stop us unless I decide to fly off some bridge or something. Going a little bit wide in this corner while being distracted by conversation, but as you can see, the front wheel drive pulls you out of the corner once you accelerate quite nicely, so that works quite fine. We expect just a calm and convenient breeze all the way to the end in these foresty conditions. Luckily enough, no trees decide to jump on my way as they often do on the eliminator matches, though it's been a while since I played any. I guess somehow the novelty worn off, and yeah, eliminator became a little bit repetitive. I don't know, I think it's time they need to mix things up, you know, introduce a few new cars, mix car tiers, stuff like that, especially as they actually mentioned doing that some time ago, that they are looking on rebalancing Eliminator. So still didn't see any of that, and yeah, hopefully they will, and then I'll get back into the Eliminator. Here we are at the end of the Heatwave Championship. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was entertaining, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.